Want to play Fallout 4? Perhaps with a few mods, but you're not keen on doing all the work? Well, good news, you lazy sausage. I've got just the thing for you. Enter the Wabbajack Modpack Magnum Opus, one of the oldest lists on Wabbajack, a modpack aimed at bringing a new life to Fallout 4 with a mod list sporting over 1,000 mods. Explore a new wasteland, wield more weapons, don new armor, chat with new NPCs, and delve into new quests. All accompanied by modified mechanics to change the balance and feel of Fallout 4. So let's have a look, shall we, and see if this mod pack is worth delving into, and if it's right for you. Hello there, my name is Red. I've spent well over 50 hours in Magnum Opus. From humble beginnings to the glowing sea, I've seen it all. And now I'm here to talk to you about it to see if you might enjoy it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and a big thank you to all my members who help keep this channel going. Stick around to the end to find out how you can also help. But enough of that, let's delve into Fallout 4 Magnum Opus. As a quick note before we begin, this mod pack, and any mod pack really, includes mods that are subject to change, patches, and bug fixes. But the foundation and ideology of this mod pack is most likely going to stay the same, at least for some time. It's just the extra bits here and there that might come and go. I'll talk about the installation process later on. For now, let's get into the actual game, shall we? Firstly, you choose your name and set your stats, a difference from vanilla because the intro is completely skipped. Then we jump straight into character creation. As you'd expect to find in pretty much nearly all mod packs, skin and eye texture has been greatly improved and there's more options for you to mess around with, mostly more hairstyles, facial hair and extras, allowing you to create the perfect monster. Say hello to Mr. Modpack. Once done, you're skipped straight ahead to being unfrozen. There's no choice to play the intro, but I doubt many will complain about that. Now you're ready to enter the world of Fallout 4. You'll immediately notice the difference in colours and textures, a gritty feeling interior with deeper shadows and boosted colour tones. The moodier lighting and grime creates a wonderful first impression. It makes the vault feel much older and ravaged by time. The darkness creates an isolating atmosphere as you stumble through. Magnum Opus doesn't use graphical extras like ENB, for example. It's all done through mods, so performance in that regard shouldn't be too affected. The starter kit is all the same, a 10mm, some ammo and stimpaks. And be still my gremlin looting ways for now. Loot states what components they contain when looking at them. Very handy indeed. Grabbing the Pipboy and checking out the new menus, you'll discover new categories. This helps deal with the massive mess your inventory will eventually become, and it's a nice addition to any list. The door opening sequence really helps showcase the lighting, the bright lights tracing through the dark. It was a showpiece for vanilla Fallout 4 and it works well for this mod pack too. Now you're greeted with a new Fallout 4, a much more vibrant and overgrown wasteland. Tall trees stretching up in the distance with creeping plant life consuming the world around you. It's a very drastic change and something I very much enjoy. You'll find it all through Magnum Opus's version of the wasteland, nature consuming the land around you. You'll also notice the colour red really pops in an otherwise green and grubby wasteland. It brings a great contrast to the world and is the perfect colour to pick in Fallout 4's wasteland to get a saturation boost. Outside the vault there's a new terminal to visit to get some more information on things you should know, as well as a note about the Place Everywhere mod. A common mod that removes geometry restrictions in build mode, allowing for more creative building. I also like how the metal around is rusted and dull, losing that sheen that it for some reason had 200 years later. Well, not anymore. After using the terminal and looking around, I personally found the frame generation distracting, so I turned that optional mod off in Mod Organizer too. You're free to do that with the optional mods. Turning on your torch is also a pleasant surprise. Gone is the useless area light. You now have a proper forward-facing light, which is a bit of a necessity with the darker lighting. It defaults to green, however you can change the colour in the settings here, which only changes the torch colour, nothing else. After applying settings, which I'll cover near the end, your Pipboy is now presented in this fashion as well, a much cleaner interface and gets rid of the sometimes hard to read Pipboy. Now, sometimes mod packs will mod out the player's voice lines, which is something I actually prefer, but in Magnum Opus it's still present. The conversation interface is at least this much nicer menu with extended lines to let you know what you're actually saying, rather than kind of having to guess. Sanctuary is vastly overgrown, and again, the textures on the buildings are much more decayed. The Workbench also has a magazine atop it. It gives you the parts to make a recruitment beacon, which is a nice little touch. I'll talk about building a little later. For now, let's head out into the Wasteland and have a look, shall we? You should promptly discover a manhole called Sanctuary Manhole. We'll definitely check that out later too, but for now let's go grab Dogmeat and have a bit of combat. Dogmeat is default skinned, but of course, still a very good boy regardless. Happy to adventure with a blue monster for some reason. The Red Rocket continues the decayed look and overgrown nature. Finally, the mole rats spawn and we get some shooting done. Combat feels good. The mouse feel is nice and smooth, so no complaints there. Descending into the mole rat den, we get our first time in the dark, requiring the torch and some more combat. A new creature appears in the dark, a quantum mole rat. You'll definitely see new enemy variants as you progress. You can also grab a Vault 4 Bobblehead here. These are a new set of Bobbleheads with some mechanical boosts. This one increases walking speed with a weapon drawn. There is a separate Bobblehead stand to display the Vault 4 variants too for those collectors out there. Now I have the shadow distance set to medium as a personal preference, but with all these new trees it felt a little off, so I risked putting it to high and it looks better. No real decrease in frame rate here, which shadow distance can be very guilty of in my experience. But now let's head to Concord and get into a proper fight. You'll find combat in Magnum Opus has definitely been overhauled. Things like better locational damage, which allows you and your enemies to be staggered and take more precise damage. I found myself diving for cover in this fight, a fight that is usually a walk in the park in vanilla Fallout 4. NPCs now have randomized stats for better variety, and once victorious, you'll notice a much wider range of clothing on these raiders, really helping the world feel more expanded and different. This scrap handgun, common to lower level raiders, is the first of many new weapons you'll find, a very basic pistol to help fill out a low level arsenal. The laser musket, though it looks default, has been changed. It no longer requires ammo. You are the ammo, my friend, as you hand crank it to charge, which yeah, makes sense. You can tell if a weapon doesn't need ammo in the menu like so. The ammo count simply isn't there. I've also leveled up, and what greets you is a new looking menu. The Overhaul doesn't stop at the modified backdrop, however. Perks have also been changed. One of my favourites is the Hacker. Alongside being able to now crack advanced terminals, novice terminals are now automatically unlocked, perfect for people like me who dislike the minigame. Inside I get to auto-hack my very first terminal too, very nice. The laser musket does good damage, and with no ammo it's a perfect starting weapon. You'll notice in their absence the lack of armour so far. Right now it's rather scarce. Weapons and armour are much more restricted in the beginning to slow down your power creep. The last guy finally has a few pieces, but not a whole set. You'll get your first look at NPC's New Looks. New outfits and retextured. They all look much better in my opinion. Now I know it's a flag, but it really looks like Preston has bacon on his hat, and I am definitely here for Bacon Preston. Finally add a bit of character to this wet blanket for once. The others look equally changed. Texture detail and clothing improved. The standard bobbleheads are the same as vanilla, by the way, so nothing to report with those. Now let's get some power armor. You only get the bare minimum here though, just the T45 chest piece and the frame. The minigun does deal with the Deathclaw easily enough. Combat very much feels like you hit hard, but you also get hit hard too. Sending Preston and his band of merry rejects off, let's go check out weapon and armor customization. Scrapping items in benches no longer has a confirmation prompt, so be careful. Goodbye double barrel I wanted to keep. From that final group of raiders, I managed to scrounge up enough to get a full set of raider armor. Normally you can't help but stumble over full set after full set, but here it's a bit more limited. Visually, this basic armor is the same, minus the samurai hat I'm wearing, a nice new modded hat of course. The raider armor has these numbered light slots you can choose from, but as far as I can tell, they do nothing. Perhaps they're placeholders or for something else entirely, I honestly don't know. Weapons have a large variety of extra mods. The 10mm, for example, can have a drum magazine on top of the vanilla mods and a wider variety of scopes. New weapons, like the scrap weapon, also come with its own set of customization options, so more choices for your adventures, which is always nice. Now let's talk about something that is a personal favourite of mine, building. The build mode is much improved. You can now fly like an eagle and sweep around, deconstructing the bushes and rubbish. The bars on the sides here are for Sim Sittelements too, so more on that later. The scrap confirmation has also been removed, so scrapping is faster, but of course, a little more dangerous. I would highly recommend, as the Modpack maker does in the FAQ, that you create a hotkey for the undo function. In the MCM menu, scroll down to Workshop Plus and go to the hotkeys. Here there's a couple you can create. I made undo Ctrl-Z, so now you can undo your previous action, just in case that precious mailbox was vital to your build. It can store up plenty of actions and the undo memory isn't cleared until you enter another settlement. I, however, did sometimes find it not wanting to undo, but this seems to be more of a problem with existing junk. With your own stuff you place down, it seems much better. Important note, undoing does not refund materials, so there goes all my wood for the moment. I'd highly recommend familiarizing yourself with the Place Everywhere controls if you're unfamiliar. They come in fantastically handy for your builds, especially the insert button which allows you to scrap even more things, though once again be careful with that. The Workbench also has some customizable options, upping the building cap, changing power and automatically scrapping the entire settlement. However, you don't get the resources by doing that, so be warned. There's a few new options for building. The two new main categories are Snappy Builds and Thematic and Practical, both great additions to any mod pack. Both new menus offer a good range of new items for you to theme out a settlement with, be they scrappy raider or concrete elegance. However, Snappy Builds can sometimes be a bit of a pain as its in-game assets turn into building objects. You'll get some invisible walls and pieces aren't as optimized, so lag could be an issue. Several sub-menus are also available. Furniture has a personal favorite of mine, Snappable Clutter and Display. This has a great range of display pieces to quickly build a variety of shelves filled with categorized clutter, taking just a minute or two to create a wall of clutter that can really help a room feel lived in. You might have some trouble with the snapping part. I found hitting F2 to turn off snapping helps very much. There's several more subcategories in structures, allowing even more freedom in building your vision of a settlement. Workbenches have several additions, of course, allowing you to build a variety of things. An ammo bench is vital to keeping yourself stocked up on ammo in this harsher wasteland. There's a third new main category, but I'll get to that later with Sim Settlements. As you begin to explore, you'll get this weird sensation of familiarity, but also feeling like you're somewhere new. The landscape has changed. Sight lines are blocked by tall trees. The area where you meet Trashcan Carla feels almost foreign. It's sometimes just hard to recognize, and I personally love it. It brings back that feeling of playing something new. The closest I've come to feeling like I'm stepping into the wasteland for the first time in 10 years. You'll no doubt come across some random people in the wasteland with a name. These are voiced, modded NPCs that can join your settlements, adding a bit more life with named and voiced characters. You'll see more of them in Sim Settlements too. As you'd expect, you'll find the occasional bug walking around the wasteland, like these flying birds. Fly on, my friends, fly on. Lexington, to me, is the first real test of frame rate and difficulty. It's a more built-up area, and this swarm of ghouls makes a great test. I was indeed found wanting at first. But being a bit more tactical, I made through but spent a lot of ammo. Utilizing the new damage system, ghouls also take a lot more body shots but drop pretty quickly to headshots. You'll definitely find the further out you go from the starting point, enemies get much tougher. I learned this pretty quickly with the raiders at the Covega assembly plant. With riot shields, plenty of bullets whizzing overhead, they promptly destroyed me. Difficulty now scales the further you head out, encouraging you to stay in the starting area and level up there, which is where that manhole we discovered before comes into play. This is a beginner's home, fitted with all the workbenches you could need as well as fast travel points to other locations, a perfect staging point. You can discover other manholes as you explore later on to unlock them, perfect for those wishing to play without fast travel but still get a network up and running late game. You can connect the power to add some lights and you're pretty much good to go. It has a second level below for expansions. I also love how the tunnels are themed to the areas they go to. It's a nice touch. Now, I've mentioned it a few times, so let's talk about Sim Settlements too, one of the major draws of this mod pack. Your first step is to build a beacon in your settlement. Putting that down will attract this fellow here. He's your tutorial man and guide into this hefty mod. He's fantastically fully voiced and it's a great deal of fun to delve into this massive mod.
It's called an ASAM sensor. If you're going to be building settlements, these things are what you'll want to use.
Using these ASAMs, you build plots. Assigning a settler to them, they automatically build a plot for themselves. This one is a residential plot. There's a variety of plots that are randomly chosen. You can also pick a different one if you dislike the one built. It's a great way to get a settlement up and running in no time at all. I played a previous version of this mod pack for some Let's Plays, playlist in the description. They're high quality edited videos, so give them a watch if you'd like, and I had a lot of fun and had a place up and running in no time. Sim Sittelements 2 has an engaging storyline to explore on top of all the new building tools at your disposal. You could very easily just play Sim Sittelements 2, ignore the rest of the game, and still have plenty of hours of fun. I'm not here to spoil the story though, that's up for you to explore, but trust me, it's pretty great. You can build plenty of plot variants for all your settlement needs. And by the way, these two boxes in build mode are for Sim Settlements too. They track resources you have for your settlement as well as the needs of the people. Best of all, if you want to hand over the building of an entire settlement to someone else, you can. Build a city planner's desk and assign someone to it. Then select a city plan and watch it get built. There are plenty of more mechanics to go over, such as supply lines and sanitation, but again, that's for you to find out. There's plenty of interesting things to enjoy. The biggest downside to Sim Settlements 2, however, is that it's script heavy. It will lag your game eventually. There's always a trade-off sadly, so it's up to you to decide. I even came across a problem with the quest not progressing. I tried many things to fix it. Waiting, which by the way I love the new wait menu, it's fantastic. Restarting the entire game and leaving the area and coming back. None of it fixed it. I had to load an older save and redo it for it to work. You'll definitely come across some scripting hiccups here and there. So save, save, and save often. When you stumble upon other settlements, you'll find they're pre-populated. If you chose those settings in the setup, places like this, the Starlight Drive-In, will already have people and a settlement set up. You can do a mission for the settlement to gain control. After that, you can scrap it all or do whatever you'd like with it. As you might expect, power armor has been changed. There's now a larger variety of mods and variants. Repairing them, however, requires power armor repair kits, which are made at the engineering table. Combat with power armor has also been changed. Unless you have enough armor penetration, you now need to damage specific parts to blow them off. Only then can you get to the fleshy human beneath and actually deal some damage. It definitely requires you to change tactics and prepare ahead. As you adventure around the wasteland, you'll find new places to explore. From the new Vault 4, also known as Fourville, a huge mod with an intriguing storyline discovering the mysteries behind the closed Vault 4, while you also embroil yourself in Fourville's mayoral race, to the intriguing storyline behind Sim Settlements 2, learning how the ASAMs came to be and finding yourself caught up in the mess. I often avoid melee, however there are some lovely laser swords now. You can sprint around like your favourite anime hero and slash up some bad guys. All the new weapons of course come with their own fantastic sound design, on top of a lot of modification to the current sounds of weapons. There's a great new weather system that really enhances this mod pack, especially bringing a huge amount of atmosphere to the glowing sea, or my personal favourite, when it's raining. As you might expect, there are some glitches here and there. This armorsmith bench, for instance, kept popping me back into third person when I exited, rather than returning me to first person. Due to the vast additions of weapons and clothing, some of them will occasionally glitch over each other. Some guns will also have some clipping issues or just not quite animated properly. In particular, this shotgun I modified was, to be honest, rather wrong all the way around, with animations not matching the model and clipping. Though these are minor issues that you can either ignore or avoid. It's something that just genuinely comes with the territory of adding so much mods. And with any mod list, you will occasionally get crashes. Once again, part and parcel with modding. I did discover, however, no doubt due to Sim Settlements 2 heavy scripting, sometimes waiting around settlements took absolutely ages. The footage you're seeing right now is real time of me waiting. I'd honestly recommend avoid waiting at settlements. There's no shortage of new content to find on top of the vast well of new weapons and new armor. On top of enemy variants, there's also new ones altogether. The gunner's ranks in particular being bolstered. But of course, that's all up for you to discover. Don't want to spoil everything for you now, do I? In regards to stability, some laggy areas do exist, but the usual suspects like around Swan's Pond was actually pretty smooth. It's the settlements that have a tendency to lag in my experience. But in general, relatively smooth and only some minor hitching here and there. With different hardware of course, your experience may differ. But now let's look at the installation before I give you my final thoughts. In my experience, Magnum Opus is one of the easier lists to install. Before I begin, do note that this is not a full installation guide. I'm simply going over the general process, noting if the documentation is correct and what have you. Please read the instructions fully yourself, especially as updates may change things in the future. I can't stress this enough. Magnum Opus uses the software Wabbajack. I have two main criteria for lists: documentation and complexity. Magnum Opus's documentation is very good. Easy to follow steps laid out in a logical way, so provided you read it all and follow the steps precisely, you should be fine. In the end, all you need is Wabbajack and a fresh copy of Fallout 4 with the DLC from Steam. Excluding the high-res texture pack, it's rubbish, no one uses it. And yes, a Steam copy is required. You cannot use GOG or other versions for this list. Consulting the documentation is your friend. It lists out problems you may come across, how to update, common problems with Wabbajack, as well as widescreen support. And the FAQ has a lot of information for you. I'd recommend reading the FAQ on top of the installation instructions as you wait for things to download and install. Magnum Opus does use a downgraded version of Fallout 4, but that's all done for you, and it leaves your copy of Fallout 4 in your Steam folder untouched. Instead, it makes a copy in your Modlist folder. The only downside to this is the extra size, which comes in at a 310 gig total. As of this recording, 102 of those are the downloaded mods, which you can delete once the mod pack is installed, but if you want to update the pack, you'll have to re-download them all again, so be warned. If you can, store them aside and copy them back in before you update. Most importantly for the documentation and a personal gripe of mine, you don't find yourself having to join the Discord to find missing information, or you're coming across outdated information that doesn't match what you're seeing. For Magnum Opus, it's all there for you, and the FAQ page is a handy place for questions you might have. As for complexity, there's only one extra step you have to do. This is part of the post-installation section. You need to download 6 zip files from Nexus mods that currently total around 17 gig. This process took 25 minutes for me to run on my SSD. Aside from that one process, the rest is pretty straightforward. Wabbajack will do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Just follow the pre- and post-installation instructions, clicking on the things you need to click when prompted, and you should be fine. The only documentation error I came across was this artillery mod, which isn't referenced at all, but in the end I think you're supposed to just hit exit anyway. That's the only minor thing I could find. Again, reading all of the instructions is a must, especially waiting around for the Sim Sittelements 2 stuff to build inside the vault, and applying the MCM preset settings once you've left. For my personal graphics settings I chose high, but I turned off motion blur because I don't like it, and shadow distance down to medium, which you eventually saw I turned back up. In the optional mods I kept the Nvidia fix on. This is the only one you either need to have one or the other, depending on the maker of your graphics card, and eventually yes, turning off the frame generation as well. In the end I found it all relatively simple, you just have to spend some time waiting around. So once you've done all that, you can enjoy the new Wasteland. So now comes the final question. After all that, is Magnum Opus a good mod list? When it comes to mod packs, in my experience, it's a pretty good one. You'll find plenty of new content to keep you entertained. However, if you aren't a fan of things that aren't lore-friendly, you'll find quite a few weapons that don't quite fit that aesthetic. Though I believe you can justify pretty much anything if you want to, but I know that's not for everyone. The vast array of weapons is something I truly enjoy. Building up a fresh arsenal to take down the Wasteland's monsters is a fun experience. Magnum Opus is a wasteland filled with overgrown greenery, and it's a nice breath of fresh air, really changing sightlines, keeping combat in thick tree lines more tense than ever before. Nothing quite beats walking down a cracked road as the sun-dappled trees surround you. It really gives the Wasteland a completely new vibe. The stability trade-off for Sim Sittelements 2, in my opinion, is worth it. No list is ever going to be 100% stable. You're going to come across problems and a bit of lag here and there. Fallout 4 isn't the most stable of platforms to begin building on top of in the first place. The Modpack maker Lively has done a fantastic job here, as well as all the makers of these fabulous mods he used. Please do go support everyone that is involved here, especially endorsing the mods you download from Nexus. I love the new atmosphere you can now experience. The vibrant poppy red tones suit Fallout quite nicely. The game is more difficult, no doubt, encouraging you to stay in the starting areas for longer, which is usually my preference anyway. Building a base is always my first priority, setting myself up to venture out into the Wasteland. And what a joyous new Wasteland it is. So head out there, Vault Dweller, into the new lavish Wasteland, and always remember, war. War never changes. but you can mod the crap out of it. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you want to support the channel and the work I do, consider becoming a member. It's the best way to help out. Even the lowest $1 tier gets access to the weekly exclusive high-quality Let's Plays, and a warm fuzzy feeling knowing you're doing your part to support a small channel like me. Speaking of which, a lovely thank you and shout out to my higher tier supporters, and especially to my spicy tier members Ghost of Protocol, Dutchman56T, CS Gaming, StageCat94, and Ian Beers. Thank you very much. But that's all for now, but I'll see you next time. So goodbye for now.